How are champions made? What does victory and winning look like? I'm so excited to explore these with you today. My name is Gabriel Griess, host of Navigating Leaders podcast. And today we have as a guest, Corey Henderson, admissions director and head of basketball and head boys basketball coach at the Episcopal School of Dallas. And we are just absolutely thrilled to begin this conversation today. Welcome to the show, Corey.
Thank you, Gabe. Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I am doing well.
Yeah, you told me you were doing some tryouts.
Yeah, it's been a long week. But we actually started official practice at the Episcopal School of Dallas on Monday. And so we've been working every morning, working hard from about 6:30 to about 8:10 or 8:15. But then I also, once that's done, I shower, I eat breakfast, and then I go into kind of my day-to-day routine and job, which is I also work in the admission office as an admission officer, but also run what we call the Campfire program, which is a mentorship and guidance program at the Episcopal School of Dallas.
That's awesome. So something I've experienced from you in our time together is a real consistency in you, right? And I'll say thank you again here. Corey had the time to work with Preston and Harrison this summer, doing some basketball, and you fixed Preston's shot, and he is raining down terror on me. The guy beats me over and over again now. Harrison's not far behind. And you've had quite the journey in basketball. So you yourself were a 4-year letterman at Texas A&M.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And then you spent some time in the pros.
Spent some time. So I played 4 years. I spent 1991 to 1995, playing at my alma mater, which is Texas A&M. Which has really been good to me. It was a blessing being able to play alongside my brother. I played alongside or with him for 3 out of my 4 years. He got there in 89. I got there in 91. So his first year he redshirted, and then his first year playing was 90. I came in 91. And so we spent 3 years playing alongside of each other. When I graduated from there, I ended up working out and playing with a team called Athletes in Action. So I did that for a year, and then that journey took me to playing professionally in Perth, Australia.
Yeah, Australia is amazing.
Yeah, very, 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 very beautiful place.
So your brother back at A&M, right? What position did he play?
So he was a shooting guard,
and you were.
So I played all 4 positions at A&M. Except the point. I could handle the ball, play the point, but my epicenter, I was a hybrid guy. I could do everything. I could post you up inside. I can take you outside. I was really skilled. Coming out of high school in 91, a guy by the name of Jay Parker, who was kind of the basketball guru in Houston. He was the one that basically, through watching me and participating in various training sessions and skills, he had me listed as one of the top rated skills guy in Houston going into my senior year in high school.
That's really similar, right? The Houston high school environment and my graduating class of 20 in high school in Nebraska. Almost identical. So Thanksgiving, Christmas, do you and your brother still play hoops?
You know what? We do not.
Okay.
I'm on the court before and after Thanksgiving now because I'm coaching. And so, the holiday season is prime for high school basketball, college basketball and professional basketball, but really high school basketball. And so, I find myself on the court, and if anything, I have shooting contests with my athletes at school who I coach, or my coaches. So we like to compete. I think competition is great. it teaches you a lot.
It's important when a coach can rain down a shot and handle the ball and take a player.
You know what? I always say those that have learned, those that have been a part of something, for me, it's easier to absorb or take information from those people. So if I've been involved in something and I've, not necessarily at a high or low level, but just if I've been involved in something and I've had the opportunity to sit in a room and participate and be involved in something meaningful, I tend to want to listen to those people more. And it's the same thing with coaching. I played at every level, and now I'm coaching. And so kids tend to want to know what was my career like. And when I tell them that, they open their eyes and they tend to sit up straight because they want someone who has been there before.
Mm-hmm. There's a credibility element. Yeah. Well, and it's neat that you had folks invite you into the room or invite you onto the court or put you in that place to succeed. So obviously an amazing career, continuing amazing career.
Thank you.
We talked about the boys program, right? So you told me you made it to your first state championship and were unsuccessful. And then you ran off 3 wins in a row. And then you went back last year and lost by a few points, and we're hopeful for this year. And so the question I would ask you is, what does it take to be a champion?
It's a good question. There are a lot of variables that I think play a huge part in that. I think it first starts with the guy that's running the ship. I've got to make sure that my mind, body, and soul are all aligned. I got to make sure my head's clear. I've got to make sure that my staff, that we're all aligned in terms of what we want to accomplish and how we want to accomplish it. Once we do that, then like anything, I think, God is important. And so I think, and I know, that without him, none of what I've done would be possible. But what I do know is he's given me a craft, he's given me a skill set to be able to go out and really tackle this, meaning what does it take? It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of sacrifice. Self-sacrifice. I'm in the gym. Here's an example, Gabe. Like this summer, I didn't really take a vacation. I'm a 12-month employee, so I've because of my admin duties, I'm a 12-month employee, and so I have to be there in the summer. I'm there anyway. I run camps. There are 3-4 camps that I run, but I'm there every day, even when I don't have to be, because I think it's important that the kids know that if your leader is going to be there, then there's no reason why you should not be showing up. And so I had kids that showed up this summer outside of us playing in summer league, but they showed up so they can get better. So you're asking the question, it's about improvement, self-improvement. If 5, 6, 7, 8 kids on the team improve, then that helps the bottom line, which is the team goal of winning a championship. So player development, self-development is the other piece. The other piece is just me setting goals and making sure that I am sticking to those goals, whether they be short-term or long-term. And even if I find something that I don't want to do or I don't like to do, changing that goal to make sure that it's in alignment for long-term success. And then making sure we're aligning philosophically with the mission of our school. And part of that is I open up every practice with prayer. And I make sure that if it's not me that's doing it, then I have a student athlete that's doing it. So what am I doing? I'm teaching them some valuable skills and lessons along the way of being in front of a group of your peer group and being able to speak, taking ownership of your belief and put it in a plan and put it in on the floor, put it in action. And so we're teaching some valuable soft skills as well. But then there's also accountability. You're asking, there's another piece of that. What does it take? It's accountability. Me holding those student athletes accountable, and then them holding themselves accountable. It's also me holding my coaches accountable. There are some parts of it where, here's a quick example of something that I'm trying to do better. So I let my kids know, I'm not a huge person that likes to use profanity. Mm-hmm. I will every now and then. That's me admitting.
Yeah.
But I tell my kids, if you hear me say something that's not right, that's inappropriate, hold me accountable. So now I got to get on the baseline, and I may have to run a sprint. I may have to do something. So it's building those relationships, and it's building that trust, and it's forming something that can be special. And then the last thing is making sure the administration understands what I'm trying to accomplish. And then it's making sure that our parents understand and know. I got some great parents. I've got some parents that when I let them know that their kids are not holding up their end of the bargain, they will then take that information and they'll make sure that they are doing it at home.
Good.
And so you don't see a lot of that, and sometimes that's tough to do. But I'm a firm believer in doing those things.
Well, if you'll allow me, I'll say a lot of that is due to your own credibility and that you're walking the walk. And I've experienced that, right? I've seen it, I've witnessed it, I feel it, I know it. And so you demonstrating that then allows your coaches and your athletes and then the parents and the administration to follow suit. So you were talking about accountability, and there's a phrase we use in our family, and I picked this up quite a while ago, and that is accountability is love, right? And so it takes courage to hold people accountable because it's uncomfortable for the person holding accountability unless you're a complete jerk. But if you have a heart and you care, it's like, how do I deliver this feedback in a way that's constructive that they can shift or change or grow or learn or take something from it? And we always say accountability is love. And it came out of a conversation I had when I was training cadets at the academy. So your freshman year at the academy is an absolute nightmare, right? It's tough. And, but then my following 3 years, I was in the training program. So I helped develop the freshman class and coach and whatnot. And we were in a forum with the freshman class. I think it was my junior year. And we were kind of in as open a discussion as you get in that military training environment. And one of the freshmen kind of asks, like, well, why are you guys always on us, right? About your uniform or your polish on your shoes or your haircut or pick whatever it is we were critiquing them for. And what I said was, don't ever be afraid when I'm standing in front of you offering you feedback. The day you need to be afraid is when I walk by you and something's wrong and I don't stop to correct you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the old cliche. I mean, all of our coaches and even our parents used to tell us that often. When a coach stops talking to you, that's when you need to start worrying about things. I've taken that cliche and I've reversed it, though.
Tell us.
So we have a slogan at ESD. It's trust, commitment, and care. It's TCC, trust, commitment, and care. And I firmly believe that I don't want to be in a habit of ignoring someone just because I feel like they don't care enough or don't love the game enough or they hate someone. I'm going to speak to you regardless, even if you don't acknowledge me, because I feel like that's just me being me. I'm not going to stop being me because somebody along the way is being a jerk or just not wanting to communicate. But here's why I say that. You never know what a person's going through. And so sometimes people walk by you because they're in deep thought. And so whether it be on the court, whether it be off the court, whether it be that Corey's upset with a player, I still want to make sure I'm in a habit of communicating, because communication is probably the toughest thing to get student athletes to do. But I can take it a step further. Communication is tough for adults in relationships, because sometimes you want to be in your own head. You want to go do your own thing. You want to be at home, and you don't want to be bothered because your social equity has left the room. And so I feel like I've got to keep reminding myself of that. But a lot of it has to do with a routine and being consistent in your routine. And so for me, it's, when I wake up, praying and thanking God for letting me see another day, going and grabbing a bottle of water, drinking a bottle of water, coming back, making up my bed, making sure my bed's fully made up. I was not, when I look back, sometimes people think that I was involved in the armed forces or the military because I'm so regimented. But a lot of that happened throughout my journey of, playing basketball, going on the court and making sure that I'm doing the things that I need to do, transitioning to A&M and waking up at 5:45 every morning for 2 months of preseason. A lot of that builds character. And so, that's, I think, not getting off the topic of, the communication piece or ignoring someone, but all of that plays a hand in it as well.
Yeah. Well, the commitment to self and the discipline elements, when our days go squirrely,
Yep.
right? At least I've done the things that are in my realm of control, and there aren't many things.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the 3-year back-to-back state championships. I mean, that it doesn't happen often in any sport. So what was that like to be a champion and at the top of the game for 3 years in a row?
You know what? I think it's all God's plan. And I say that, and I'm a firm believer in that because of how my journey led me to be at the Episcopal School of Dallas. If it were not for me losing my job in corporate, not getting fired, but losing my job because of downsizing. I worked at Dynegy. I worked on the trading floor after I got back from playing in Australia. A buddy of mine by the name of Ken Reeves was like, Corey, what are you going to do next? He said, corporate, if this is what you want to do, I can help you do it. And so I was able to get in with Dynegy at the time and worked on the trading floor, buying and selling electricity, and I did it for 4 years. Well, when the whole Enron thing happened, the entire market, the entire energy industry was affected. And so I ended up being laid off. So after 4 years of being there, again, I'm thinking to myself, well, what am I going to do? And how am I going to do this? I had a family. I was married at the time. I had 2 kids at the time, my oldest son, Corey, and then my daughter, Caitlin. I was like, this is not cool. What am I going to do? Just so happened that I kept my hand in basketball when I got back from Australia. So I was working with a team called the Texas Blazers. I was able to get that opportunity through another friend of mine who played basketball as well. And so I started working grassroots basketball with the Texas Blazers. I started with them in 5th grade and started doing, skill work with them. And we were kind of moving all around through the state of Texas and really through Dallas. And I'm going somewhere with this. I ended up, when I got laid off, I ended up reaching out to a couple of parents that were on, whose daughters I coached with Texas Blazers. And they said, well, Corey, a guy that works at Kincaid, by the name of Wayne Jones. I said, yeah, I know Wayne. I played against his brother. So we'll reach out to him and see what he has. It just so happened that he had an opening for an assistant position at the Kincaid School in Houston. And so went in, visited with him. He talked to me about what he wanted, how he wanted it done. He hired me. I was there for a year. I was only there for a year. Romans 8:28 says, God's plans are the best. Trust the process. And so once I throughout this process of losing a job, throughout the process of saying, God, like, what I'm on earth to do what? He said, Corey, I've been telling you all this time what you should be doing. Well, I had a tutor at A&M, math tutor, who said, Corey, one day you're going to make a damn good coach. I believe that because I think I'm really good with people, with kids. I'm a people's person. I am I'm a coach's coach. Like I love working with athletes. And so, I then said, you know what? I need to continue to do the things that I know will provide me a sense of joy, peace, and understanding. And so once I said to God, hey, show me what you want me to do. Once I stepped foot in Kincaid School, everything started lining up. When I was working with the Texas Blazers, we would take trips to Dallas and we would play in areas where I ended up venturing into when I moved here to take the job at the Episcopal School of Dallas in 2003. And so I'm saying all that to say, if you surrender and put your hands up and give it to God, He will show you where you should be and how you need to do it. You asked the question, how was it to win 3 in a row? Well, I had a 5-year plan, Gabe. I wrote down everything that I wrote down on that 5-year plan came to fruition. Everything. And I wish I brought it to show you, but everything on that plan. When I interviewed for the job at the Episcopal School of Dallas, Russell Norman was the AD. I showed him my 5-year plan. I said, this is what I want to accomplish. I was brought in to rebuild the basketball program at ESD. It took me about a year or two to really sow those seeds, plant the roots. Year 1, finished 2-22.
Woohoo!
I love the response that you just gave. It was probably one of the best coaching jobs that I could do with what I was given at the time.
Yeah.
The first half of the season, we repeated playing the same teams the second half of the season because I inherited the schedule from the guy that was before me. But we played those same teams the second half of the year. Those coaches were amazed at the turnaround that happened.
The improvement
turnaround in a few weeks or a few months. 2-22, 16-18 the second year, 23-10 the third year, 24-7 or 24-6 the fourth year, and then that fifth year. So the fourth year we made it to the championship game and lost, and then we rolled off 3 in a row after that. Part of my 5-year plan was, starting camps at the Episcopal School of Dallas, making sure the kids know who I am, what I'm about, player development, making sure that the parents understand, that this is going to be a special place where we build and grow young men. We did that. Another one of my goals was kind of a local winning some local tournaments. Then we went into being ranked in the area. I was fortunate enough to have two young men who are coaches now, who came in to me from the St. Philip School. They were Wesson twins. They were the ones who really were instrumental in really jump-starting the program. It was after my first year. They really came in, and a lot of their personality and a lot of them rubbed off on everybody else. And so they were really my first group of ninth graders that were on varsity. And Gabe, after that, we just kind of, we took off. I hired some guys who I could trust. I hired some guys who I loved to work with, and we grew the program. And then we became regionally ranked. There was a family, the Pressey family, that came into me through another one of a guy that I knew, and they were moving in from Boston. Well, Paul Pressey, Liz Pressey, who I'm referencing, had 4 kids. One of them, Phil Pressey, played for me. Mm-hmm. And so once he came in, it really elevated and took the program to a whole nother level. And that's when we really became noticed outside of the DFW area.
Well, and Phil went on to play for the Celtics, right?
Phil went on to be a star at the University of Missouri. He played for Frank Haith at the University of Missouri. Frank Haith actually was on staff at Texas A&M when I was there from 91 to 95. Frank was there 3 out of my 4 years. But Coach Anderson, who recruited Phil, Coach Anderson and Phil's dad, Paul Pressey, played JUCO together and also played at the University of Tulsa together. Here's another part of it. Their wives played JUCO together and went on and played at Tulsa together as well.
Oh, wow.
So when I say the basketball community is a small community and a connected community in some way, shape, or form, it is. And then, Phil ended up leaving. He did not get drafted, but he ended up making the Celtics organization, made their team, was there for several years, and then finished out his career playing in Barcelona. And now he's coaching for the Maine Celtics. This is his first head coaching job for the Maine Celtics. I also am instrumental and a part of helping him run his camp every year at ESD.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So something that's been woven through everything you said here is relationships, and network, and really who you've been through your life, right? And how you showed up through each one of those phases has been your calling card, right? Of character and trust and integrity and faith and godliness, right? And so I know that those traits that you've lived every day with discipline and commitment has opened doors.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's important that we consistently surround ourselves with good people that are like-minded, because it keeps us grounded. I'm not free of anything relative to making mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life. But I also know that if I continue to put great people around me who will hold me accountable, it helps to keep me grounded. It helps to keep me balanced. It helps to keep me on track. And so I think that's a big part of that as well. And I've had to learn that too. There's some people that you grow away from, and there's some people that grow with you, and there's some people that grow to you. And so I think it's important that we continue to evaluate who is around us on a consistent basis. I had to learn that.
I think I did too.
I had to learn that. So, yeah.
So your 5-year plan that you referenced, it really sounds to me like you had a strong vision,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where and how did you cultivate that vision? Because that's one of those key elements that we talk about a lot,
Mm-hmm.
is that results and the results you want to create in your life really come out of that vision,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so how did you craft the vision? How did you create that 5-year plan that led to such success?
I think part of it was looking back and seeing those people that poured into my life.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, my brother, my cousins, Tony, Terry, Tanya, my cousins, Patrick Spiller, those people, who, my aunts, my uncles, my mom would always say, win, baby, you got to win. Win, baby, you got to win. She would always say that. My aunt she used to take my brother and I to school every day, elementary school. She was a educator. We have a lot of educators in our family, and she used to drive us to school. Bonner Elementary in Houston, Texas. She used to drive us to school every day. And so we could never do anything wrong, so to speak, because they would know. And so you ask about cultivating. So those are the people that I admire. Those are the people that I grabbed things from. I also looked at my high school coaches, my middle school coaches. One of my middle school coaches ended up being my high school coaches my last 2 years of playing high school basketball at Robert E. Lee High School in Houston, Texas. Greg Wise, who is a successful high school coach at Yates High School in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Yates sits in the neighborhood that I grew up, which is 3rd Ward, Riverside Terrace. The McGregor area is the area that I grew up in. Well, he's still there. He's still doing great things. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Greg won 4 or 5 state titles between Hightower High School in Fort Bend and Yates High School in Houston, Texas. You asked the question. So those are the people, along with my college coaches. So I grabbed things from them, even some of the bad things, even some of the bad things that I thought were bad, I grabbed from them, because with me sitting here now, I look back and say, some of those things that I thought were bad were really not bad. I thought they were bad, but they were good for me now. And
Can you give us a specific example?
Yeah, I would say, even being back at A&M, my freshman year, I came in and I was highly ranked, highly recruited coming out of high school. Well, my freshman year, I was all Southwest Conference my freshman year. I was young. I was the youngest kid on the team. I didn't turn 18 until June 30th. And so I was the youngest on my team. But I was pretty good. I was really, really, really skilled. And so I made the All Southwest Conference team as a freshman. Well, moving into my sophomore year, I was in the doghouse. I'm trying to figure out why I'm in the doghouse. Well, Coach Tony Baroni, who's no longer here, brought me in the office and he said, well, Corey, you're not playing hard enough. I'm like, what? Like, I just made the All Southwest Conference team. What do you mean I'm not playing hard enough? He's like, well, you're just not playing hard enough. And so you're not getting the minutes because you're not playing hard enough. Well, life lesson. Don't pout about it. You need to correct it and be about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so my sophomore year, I spent in the doghouse. I contemplated, in my head, I kind of contemplated, well, what would it look like if I left? I'm a loyalist, sometimes to a fault, to a T.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going anywhere.
Your brother probably wouldn't have been super happy.
I wasn't going anywhere. I bleed maroon and white, and so I'm an Aggie through and through. But I also believed in seeing things through. Like, how are you going to, what are you going to do to do something different? You need to do something different in order to get out on the court.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, going into my junior year, those things were changed. And so, that's the example that I wanted to share, because I believe that in this day and time, you have kids that will just leave a situation without fighting in the situation. I think it's important that you fight in that situation instead of leaving the situation. Mm-hmm. I think today's environment allows for things to be easy. In my opinion, you don't have to go out and grind things out or grit, or show grit. I think now it's just, kids will leave and go to another school if they feel like the coach is not being fair, if things are getting tough or hard, or, they're complaining about something that they can correct. And it's easy. Ask me what you need to work on. I'm telling you what you need to work on. Get in the gym and do it. Mm-hmm. Kids tend to take the easy road now. Or if things get tough, if I'm on somebody who I know is very talented and can take it to another level, like Coach Baroni was trying to get me to do, they tend to run. But I've got a good group this year, Gabe, that I think they want to be coached hard, and they don't mind, and so that's a blessing.
And you went to the championship last year.
Went to the championship last year.
And you got a team that's ready to go this year.
I think the important thing is that they taste it. You got to taste it. You got to taste it before and that's just me. You got to taste it before I think you can win it. And it doesn't always happen like that, but I just think that I think it's important that you show a sense of empathy, and show a sense of understanding that, hey, you've got to work for something in order to get to something. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And so I think we're ready we're ready to go back. It's a process. We just got to trust the process.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Yes, we do. So I can't not bring up that you spent some time with Kobe.
Yep.
Right. And you worked with his camps.
Yep.
and had some coaching relationships and just fellowship over basketball.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn about being a champion, working that closely to arguably one of the greatest players ever to play the game?
I always give kudos and thanks to people who kind of helped me get to where I am. And so Joe Branch was a guy, Wayne Jones, who I mentioned earlier, who was the head coach at the Kincaid School. So Joe Branch is his brother. And so Joe was instrumental in me being a part of that, being a part of being able to work at Kobe Academy. And so I want to give kudos and thanks to him. He's now currently an agent in Houston. Mm-hmm. He has doing some really neat things as an agent in Houston, but he working alongside and working with Kobe, what you hear is all true. Meaning early bird gets the worm, so to speak. He's always in the gym. He's there early. He stays late. He's a sponge. He was very cerebral. He believed in, he was no nonsense in terms of the things that he would do in his training regimen, but also he was no nonsense when it came to talking to kids. One thing that I came to learn about him was he was a shy person, and I didn't really realize that. Over his time, I think he learned to be more of a people's person over his time of things that happened to him and those things that occurred in his life too. I noticed that one day when I was sitting, and he was actually sitting kind of like I'm sitting, and he had an audience in front of him of a bunch of our campers. And I saw his leg like jumping and moving. Yep. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why is he like, are you nervous? Why is he nervous? But that was part of a defense mechanism, I think, of him not being comfortable at times of being in front of people And that's, again, this is just my observation of what I felt like was it. And so he learned to be more of a people's person after dealing with some things and being on his journey as well, I think. But you're talking about a warrior. You're talking about a wolf. I won't even say a dog. He's more of a wolf. I mean, he's a snake. He's the mamba.
Mm-hmm.
He's Michael Jordan, was his idol. I mean, that's, and I just so happened to be able to meet Michael Jordan on my recruiting trip to Vandy my senior year. I was able to meet Michael Jordan along with others that were on the Chicago Bulls team. Eddie Fogler was the head coach at Vandy at the time. Neil Doherty, who was recruiting me, who ended up leaving Vandy and taking the job at TCU, the head men's job at TCU, who passed away some time ago. He recruited me to Vandy. So I had an opportunity to meet Michael Jordan. Surreal. But again, similar in terms of everything Michael did, kind of Kobe did. And I think, it was just a neat opportunity to be a part and involved in the Kobe Academy for, I think, about 6 years. I was able to mentor kids and pour into kids, but also meet some neat people who were involved in that journey as well.
So we've talked championships. We've talked, your journey. Just talked about Kobe and greatness, and even Jordan. I know you're a man of deep faith, and you've been at the Episcopal School for 23 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Big ups and downs, growing a program, big run, bit of a drought for about 10 years until you got back to the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things about sports that catches my attention is so often we play, and at the end of the season, there's only one team standing.
Yeah.
Right. And so pick it, everybody but one is a loser in the not holding the trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Not a loser in life. We experience and grow and do all those sorts of things. And so through your journey, how has faith played into you in the good times and the bad times? What comes up for you in that?
It's a great question. I always have to continue to remind myself that there's more than one way to win.
Mm.
And so when I go back and I look at where I was and where I am in terms of being current of 23 years being at the Episcopal School of Dallas, being able to have the opportunity to experience winning championships early, having a lull, and then getting back last year, it's a humbling experience. My faith, though, keeps me grounded in the fact that this is just not about basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It's about winning lives. And what I mean by that is, I think it's important. I'm at the Episcopal School of Dallas, and we are welcoming of all faiths. We have people that are Hindu. We have people that are Muslim. We have people that, we have some people that don't believe in God. My job is to be a vessel.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that means for me, I've got to make sure that I put it into use. But people need to see it. And so if I'm not walking the walk, if I'm not talking the talk, if I'm just talking the talk and not walking the walk, I think that's going to be problematic. I think I try to do the best I can do to mentor these kids, through making sure they understand what I believe in, which is, that God is the center of my journey. God is the center of my life. There's a Bible verse, and it comes from Matthew 19:26, and I firmly believe in that. It's something of the nature. Don't put your trust in man. Put your trust in God.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm going to make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I'm sure I'll make a mistake later on today in doing something, right? But I just think it's important that people see that I can be vulnerable. And if they can see that I can be vulnerable, that will help them along the way in some way, shape, or form. I hate losing more than I enjoy winning.
Mm.
I spent about 8 weeks. I had a life coach. I spent about 8 weeks, and he helped me understand that it's okay to enjoy winning. It's okay to enjoy things along the way. I'm so wired, and I've changed some. I'm so wired to move on to the next play. I'm so wired to, okay, we won. Now it's time to move on. We've got another game the next day.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a game in 2 days. But what he helped me to understand and what he's reminded me of is you have to enjoy those victories, those small victories or those large victories. But I always draw that back to my faith. And I want to stay connected with those two things. Because we all will sway. We all will sway away. But with that consistent routine that I have of the daily regimen, people don't know this, but I probably pray 3 or 4 times a day. Pray without ceasing.
Yeah,
is important. Not everybody knows that, but I'm telling people this because I believe in it, and I know that's something that has helped me in my faith journey of not only helping myself but helping other people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Stay as close as you can to God, and
Yep.
the rest of it kind of takes care of itself.
Yep.
Right? We know that. I like to say that. Do you remember the old Choose Your Own Adventure books? The ones you
Yep.
get to the bottom page. It
Yep.
says if you want to go into the scary cavern, turn to page 83, and if you want to jump off the cliff into the ocean, turn to page 97 or
Yeah.
whatever. So I like to say that our lives are a Choose Your Own Adventure book written by the divine author of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't know what's around the corner,
Yep.
but what we do know is we have this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
And I honor you, Corey, for joining us here today. I appreciate your vulnerability.
Yep.
Right? Trust is formed and forged in the crucible of vulnerability, because when things aren't going well, we get to see the character of the people that are around us. And always been impressed with your character. I appreciate everything you've done. Best of luck to this Episcopal boys team and, and all the other teams. But look forward to coming to that state championship game later this year.
Well, that's the plan.
All right.
That is the plan.
Any last words you'd like to share with the audience?
I think I've learned to be more present in dealing with my family and dealing with people. But I've also, anytime I'm dealing with anything of something that's tough, I always remind myself of a poem by William Ernest Henley, which is Invictus.
Okay.
The overall arching point of the poem is to be undefeated, unconquered. No matter what you're going through, I always remind myself, and I quote the poem in my head, and I say it over and over again, if I'm dealing with things where I'm coming up on something where I'm, a little nervous or there's some tough times, always go back to that. And I quote it over and over and over again. So if there's something that you guys are dealing with in life, or there's something that you're dealing with, hold true to your faith, but also use that poem, Invictus.
I love it. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And to everybody joining us out there, we just appreciate you sharing your time. We appreciate your attention. And like the podcast, share it with your friends and family. This is how it grows. And thank you to Corey Henderson from the Episcopal School of Dallas. My name is Gabriel Griess, host of Navigating Leaders. Until next time, be well and God bless.